together. So more or less we will be taking part during the presentation. You can ask your questions whenever you have, or you can leave this for the discussion session. Okay. We can have this first one. More or less the outline is like that. I will just mention briefly about TOSAC project, and also because we have related some work packages while we were developing this. In fact, we have developed a message program, and basically Mehmet will go details of this message program in the university. But in advance, we have been researching and studying existing curriculums and the master programs and research centers. So we have tried to identify what is the basis of these higher education programs, how they relate to free software and how they relate to formal education. What is the relation between them? So we will also exemplify such kind of initiatives and existing programs. Later on, we will go details of the program we have proposed, and presumably this program is going to start next year in 2006. It's a 2-year master's program. I will not go into details of the TOSAC project, but it's also another project which is founded in the European Union, the 6th Framework Program. Our coordinator is Kaan Erkan. Unfortunately, he's not able to join us. But this is a large project in terms of number of participants at least. We have 19 participants from 15 different countries in Europe, and also 2 of them also partners in a FlossWorld project. Maybe you know the parents of Bulgaria definitely, and coordinator of the FOSS, one of the coordinators of FlossWorld, Tunis is also our partners. This is a coordination action project. That means we want to integrate and exploit already formed methodologies, strategies, skills, and technologies. So it aims to share research, establish synergies, and build partnerships, and in enlarge Europe. So the coverage of at least the partners within the group is larger. Today, based on our presentation, in fact, we are more related to one of the work packages. It is curriculum development, and it targets various profiles for the curriculums, and also not only K-12 or higher educations, but also curriculum for the professionals. And by the way, going over the discussions we had yesterday, we have also very related to the national program work packages. So, in fact, there are many related already outputs we get, but there are some outputs which is highly related to what we have been discussing yesterday and today. I suggest you to. Thank you. Is it okay? I suggest you, there are 3 reports that you can, I hope it will be helpful to the discussion we had yesterday about public administrations. One is a startup roadmap report. It's a relatively large report. It just gives the pictures of various national programs, and try to discuss what is the criteria, what will be the parameters when you're going to adopt free software in public administrations. And also there are a couple of case analysis within this large report. So it also discusses similarities and differences between these programs. So we also have a relatively short and kind of executive summary for public administrators that we can, when we go and lobby for free software foundation, free software adoption. So there was an interesting workshop we had. That workshop are in Merida, in Extremadura, the Second World Open Source Conference. Before workshop, we have our partners provide some briefs of the current situation in their country and also kind of requirements and obstacles. And during the workshop, we discussed over this with several other presentations. And they were very editive in the report. So I hope it will be also helpful. But for the curriculum cases, we have already two reports that you can, I hope you can go and see on the webpage. You will see the web address at the end. The first one, there was a workshop it was in Netherlands. It was open education symposium, so open source based education materials. So within this workshop we discussed what should be the content, what should be methodologies of curriculums when we develop curriculum. So what should be approaches when you develop some curriculum just on purpose for system administrators or for high K-12 or for universities. And there is a practical report as well, which is it also discusses the methodologies to build a free software laboratory. This laboratory is, it exemplifies some concrete person hardware requirements and software, etc. So now let's go over the aim of this presentation. So unfortunately, I will mostly go over my notes because anyway, it's well known that free software has gained widespread acceptance by both academia and industry in last few years particularly. But there seems to be an even growing interest in the study of free software. The overview on free software education at graduate level, for instance, which we will give in a few minutes, and will exemplify this very large adoption. There is a growing interest and demand for a formal education by students in the topic. However, based on the discussion so far and elsewhere, we have the opinion that free software technologies are still far from reaching a relevant position in the market compared to proprietary software. We think that one of the reasons why free software is not more widely used in the short number of academic courses and programs in this based on this technology. So within this presentation, we will focus on graduate level courses and programs, and also know that our focus is not only solely on free software as a technology, rather as a contextualized phenomenon. In other words, it's not limited to software aspects of free software, but such as, when we mean software aspect, we don't want to go into how to develop curriculum for system administration, software engineering, but rather we want to go in more contextualized phenomenon of this free software. So what are the necessities and the needs for such a program? In fact, as I have said, it's widely accepted that the people in the free software community, in fact, usually acquire and exchange knowledge by visiting different web pages and discussing in forums, etc. So this is a different way of educating yourself, and this is a kind of different way of learning process. However, when you consider many other end users and specifically typical IT professionals, if they don't feel comfortable with this learning model and consequently discouraged to try free software. In that respect, there's a gap between guided, self-guided, and also tutored education in this area actually in free software, which might be compensated by higher education institutes. Apart from this, there is no reason why, for instance, most university teaching could not be based on open source technology as a mean, as an environment. But we should keep in mind that the goal of university is not to train but to educate. The principles which such a postmaster teaches should be applicable to any information systems. I mean, whatever you develop, it should be applicable to any information system platform. So those who come to such a program should then be able to take their knowledge and apply it to any system they encounter. Once they have learned the syntax and semantics of free software information systems and environments. So when you go over all the existing programs and when we were discussing over this issue, there are some original ingredients for this program. And for instance, a FOSS, a free software master program, should be able to give students a chance to study free software as a phenomenon itself, its history, its characters, its revolutionaries, methods, philosophies, and other abstract aspects. This is one part. Along with such relatively more abstract matters, other major issues relating to adoption of free software is more practical aspects. Maybe most of us acquainted with this. For instance, the software engineering, the business and local dimensions, which are more practical aspects. So these both approaches, the both categories should be within this program. So, for instance, however, we can just say usage of free software to students, those we try to convince to adopt it, only if we root on the philosophy of free software. So it can also be denied that there is a technological political, or also we can say techno-political element to free software usage. For instance, you can think of debate on software patents, laws issued that obligates or enables free software solutions within public ICT procurements. These are also legal and kind of techno-political aspects. And understanding of free software licenses and their variance is vital for anyone wishing to explore the legal aspects of free software. And it would also be very useful for those interested in the open source business model to study, as it has a large impact on how open source business works. So teaching free software should take into account its interdisciplinary aspect, issues in software engineering, sources is intellectual property, sociology, psychology, culture, and economics. Each play an important role in how free software development operates. So all those ingredients should be existent and should be related and should be discussed within this program. So the very tenet of free software is maybe one of the more important the core is the contribution back to the community. So that should be embodied within the program. This, in theory, will also allow students to experience open source development firsthand and relate and compare the discussions in the classrooms with their own experience. So, apart from discussing this very basic components of open source, but also contributing back, how to contribute back to the community, which should be one of the important content of this program. So I will just say some words and Mehmet will add something. So based on those observations, what should be the educational framework of such programs? While introducing free software in a master program, it's important to be aware that a broad curriculum is necessitated. Okay, which means, this means a discontinuous break from conventional expectations of any master's program. When you go into any master's program, you see that they are more specialized on such in a discipline and in the methodology and in practice. But what we have discussed in the in previous slides, it says that you have to take a different approach, which is really a discontinuity when it's compared to the conventional program. So and much of this could come under the premises, guidance and sponsorship of interdisciplinary studies, and in conjunction with the business and legal schools. So it's not a standalone program. So those schools within the university should contribute such a master's program. In addition, free software education involving only disciplines such as system administration, in fact, have legal reason to be included in a master's degree program. You can go to any traineeships, and you can have LPI certificates, and there are lots of different available to the schools that you can acquire such technical aspects. But what we are discussing here is just something different, and it's not related to really very fields of software technology. So it is essential that the qualification of the graduate will be well regarded within the university, and in different faculties, departments and research groups, and in other universities. So once the students have been enrolled in this program, it should be regarded with the stakeholders. So even though the benefits, ramifications of a switch to free software must be vigorously demonstrated within the program, MS curriculum in or related to free software should include the avoidance of monoculturalism in technology. I guess the discontinuity in compared to the conventional programs, plus its multiculturalism in technologies should be one of the important components of this program. Because free software itself, in part, is not a part of a dominant monoculture, and it's not even monoculture to itself. You can see a lot of variance within it. Even going to licenses, you will see this multiculturalism. For instance, even you can, when you think the forking process of a project, you know, the availability of forking itself is a kind of flexible technology of a flexible technology and a variation in most projects. So we should emphasize this multiculturalism in technology and this multidisciplinary aspects. Would you have something to add?
I can actually. What I said was more on the institutional part of the business. I can add a few things about the organizational side of it. I have been working for a computer science department for 5 years, and opening such a program does not happen in vacuum. There are several actors you have to actually. One is the university manager. You have to convince them that this isn't something that only looks good on the paper, but something that can work and which can make money for them. And you have to convince students that if they come to this program, they can find jobs or they can make research really out of it. And you have to convince the academics that if they get involved in this higher education program, they can find students to make research and publication with them. In addition, the open source is mentioned much less actually in the software master programs than it is mentioned in the business programs. Business people are extremely interested in studying open source because they find, well, to keep it short, they find it a cheap way to get business done. Basically, it's the main motivation of their interest. Also, they seriously take the open source business model as an efficient way of doing many things. As we see today, it's not only about software, but with the Creative Commons and other models of information sharing, open source models spreading around. So business people were the first to take it seriously. But having a software master program or a multidisciplinary master program with open source was not very common. Here we tried to put together a curriculum in a balance between all these forces. We work for a profit-oriented university, it's not a public university, so they don't just give you money for an idea that sounds good. You have to convince them that this program can work and students will be flocking in as the day one you open the program. So we try to keep a program which can attract students who are willing to work in the market as well as students who want to make research. In addition, we had a lot of problems when we decided to use open source in the undergraduate programs. We had a lot of problems with the supporting staff. You would never think of it, but it's a hell of a job to get the regular IT people support education with something other than Microsoft. So you have to consider that once you start having students in the labs, the staff behind the scenes, apart from the academic staff, will be able to support such a transition. We expect different types of students, students from computer science and engineering, students from economics, political science and business administration who are interested, as I said, in this new model of doing things more efficiently. Business people are interested in this. The second type of people are mostly people who are targeting to become managers in software companies and trying to find an interesting business model to compete with the big actors. The first people, computer science and engineering people, are people who will possibly lead software projects in companies who want to reduce their costs by using open source software. And finally, there is some law people who are very much interested in open source because, as you can imagine, the public licenses bring up a whole new set of legal challenges. It's a sort of flat type of applying law in the software patents and copyrights. We have a quote here. It is claimed that having a functional know-how of open source methodology brings a quantum leap for companies in terms of business advantage. So they claim that if you can apply open source methodology successfully, it is a business advantage basically. This is yet to be proved, but there's much interest in this. We also want, as open source people ourselves, we wanted this program to contribute back to open source community, and we wanted to have more research studies in free open source software, because seriously there isn't much done in this area, especially in the software engineering area. People are surprisingly late to realize the specific advantages of applying open source. They see something, but application and making these things clear with research is lagging behind. We did collect some existing examples of master programs in open source. Actually, Bülent did most part of it, so I will pass the mic to him. We examined these programs. We tried to get use of them, and after these examples, we will make a presentation of specific courses in our program.
In fact, it's really difficult to find a full master's program based on the free software, but there are what we are going to see that there are individual courses in graduate level courses, and also some PhD seminars out there. And also it's noteworthy to mention some research centers based on open source software. So we will just try to exemplify some of them. So first I will go over some programs that they just have open source as a single module within their and a person in either in IT software engineering or sometimes in kind of management master's programs. You will see some modules that they focus on open source software. So in Canada, University of Victoria, I guess that the head of this and the instructor, the lecturer of this program were in the open source, the first open source conference. The single course offering gives its graduate students an opportunity to examine FOSS itself, its history, its tenets and merits, and also methods and other better abstract aspects. But they don't really focus on more technical aspects, which we find very positive. And also, when you go and see the syllabus, you can see the syllabus consists of such. I mean, within the syllabus, there's a single course, and within this course, the syllabus contains those topics. You see that they, in fact, they have those some technical aspects, but they rather focus on more business models and economics and etc. So there's I want to mention one another course. This course is given in the United Kingdom. They don't. By the way, you can reach these details of the courses given on the web pages. And the course evaluates the usefulness. I mean, the course itself evaluates the usefulness of open source system to solve real world problems by drawing up known case studies, basically within the whole semester. They critically analyze the open source software development process. I mean, they just don't say that it's good, it's perfect, but they have kind of critical approach during the courses. They also discuss its opportunities and the problems in developing IT systems, with a particular focus, of course, on the individuals and organizations involved. The course compares and constructs open and closed software development by referring to established opportunities and difficulties in developing IT systems. And finally, you can see that they assess open source systems from legal, ethical, and ideological perspective. As I said, this is a single course. But now I'm going to go on some existing full master's program which is given in the university. The first one is also, in fact, the first one I want to mention is in Sheffield Hallam University, again in UK. This is a one-year program, and as usual in the United Kingdom they just have one-year program for master's degree, in fact. And the program offers a technical background in software engineering with an open source emphasis. I mean, they relatively have a technical aspect and emphasis. And when you go on the web pages on the advertising part of the program, you see that they say the program is expecting people with a background in computer science, engineering, but who want to start a career as an independent consultant in open source solutions. So they just focus on this part. However, the program is somehow don't have students for this year, and they don't expect for this academic year. They don't expect any students. I was not able to get the reason for this one. In United Kingdom, there's another program. It's called MS Master of Science degree in Open Source Computing. This is also a one-year program, but it's a they require a full-time they look at full-time students with the program. They have courses, they offer courses within the program, and when you can see, yeah, it's not that it's more technical, but when you go into within the details of the syllabus, these are the modules and different courses. You see that the program not only addresses the development of open source systems from the technical aspects, but also targets to examine free software's wider impact on society in terms of business models and social change. And in fact, this is the program that we really, which motivated us a lot. This is in Catalonia. It's Open University. They have, this is a distance learning program, and they have 4 different tracks. You can see the first 3 tracks are more technical tracks, and they have courses, online courses. But the last track is just, they focus on managerial aspects of the open source software. This is more close to the program that we are offering. Lastly, we have seen that in fact there are 2 important programs in Italy. One is from in Rome, the other in I don't know the places. One is University of Pisa, and the other is in Bologna. These 2 programs, they are more close to what we are offering. They are full master's program. For instance, the one in Bologna, they have focus on software engineering plus IPR, intellectual property rights. The one, but first, I really did like their approach because this complies with what we have been discussing at the beginning of the duration of the Master of Science program. In fact, they have the faculty, and this is a kind of interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary approach. You can see they have courses from the Department of Informatics, Department of Corporate Economy, Department of Economics, and Department of Trade and Marketing. This is really a course that you can go over and see which complies what we have been discussing. Apart from those master's programs, we have there are some research centers. It's not. I guess it's not worthy to mention these research centers. You can go to see. One of the largest, the research center with large number of faculties, University of California, Irvine. The center focuses on, I guess this is broad website, they focus on empirically based studies of the process, the practices, and the communities that develop open source software. And they have some kind of ethnographic methodologies in the study of the software. Another important research program is, again in the United States, at the University of Notre Dame. They focus on FOSS development phenomenon and the pattern of growth in projects. And from social science background, they have a kind of social network analysis methodology while they are working on the development phenomenon of the open source software. They have lots of publications, very important publications. They have the publication list and they are all available on the website. And maybe most of us know about the MIT Open Source Center. In fact, it's a group. It is driven by a group of people from MIT Sloan School of Management. This group focuses on they consider the whole open source community as and the software as a kind of collective development innovation. So they have really detailed, very exciting studies on this collective development innovation in open source software. So now I will pass the microphone to Mehmet, who is going to mention the details of our program.
We were most impressed by the multi-itinerary structure of the program in Free University of Spain. What we had in our university was a computer science department, a very strong business and administration faculty, and a newly created business informatics department. So we wanted to blend these three strong groups of academic background in a single program, and here's what we come up with. There are, I think, 10, 12 courses here, including the 2 master's courses. There's a discussion about whether to have a master's thesis or not, but we decided that unless we have a master's thesis, it would be very weak on the research side. And because it's a very multidisciplinary program, so if you want students to practice a subject of their own choosing, then you need a master's thesis as an area for them to apply it. We expect students from different backgrounds, so we needed some basic courses such as Linux usage and administration to make a sort of leveling among these people. But that pretty much ends there, because after that, let me jump to this one. Different students come from different backgrounds, but after these basic computer skills, they are expected to pursue a career in software engineering, IT infrastructure development and administration, or a business track, which is applying open source methodology in business. So it's inherently common courses among these 3 tracks are not very much. There is also a need to make a leveling among these students, because some students will possibly come from backgrounds with not very strong computer skills, but other types of skills, maybe research skills that needs to be supported with open source computer skills. So there is we expect to have 10 to 50 hours of preliminary courses in addition to the essential courses with the Linux usage and administration, plus the research methods course, which all students will be taking, but after that they will go into one of the tracks they want. This one is the same slide with the course names on it. You see students take 2 courses, 501 and 505, which is the computer skills and the research methods, and the rest, they go into one of these tracks of their choosing. I don't know if we will make big barriers between these tracks. After all, the idea is to be multidisciplinary and let the students go on their own. So it is not yet determined whether we will be strict about these 3 groups, but for something like this to be practical for the students, they better have a focus than not. So we do expect most students to follow one of these tracks, but of course, depending on their backgrounds, if they already come from a multidisciplinary background, they can go through a multidisciplinary, multi-track choosing through the program. So it's really on per student basis these types of decisions. The group at the below of these 3 groups is the elective courses, and they mostly focus on social, legal, or public policy aspects. There are a few public policy programs in Ankara, Turkey, but there is none specific to open source policies. So we do actually expect students from other universities and programs. If they're interested, they can come take these public policy aspects. We have a good law faculty, and they recently started a center which is specialized on the internet law, how the e-commerce takes place and what's the legal aspects of e-commerce. So we do expect some support on that one from the law faculty. And in general, we want any student who is following one of these 3 tracks to have some idea about at least one of the other tracks. So if it's a student pursuing a career in software engineering, for example, they must take at least one course in business or IT management, so that they will actually develop something in the spirit of open source. The thesis project takes place over a year period, and we do expect to have some good software. Also, we are going to give back to the open source community after that. This is layout of the courses. You can mention, for example, software development using open source and methodology. It has a second part also. That's the core of the software development track. Maybe a 2-semester course. Information systems management came from the business informatics program. It's why it has a bus code in front of it. We are using some existing courses, practical. Also network and operating system management, also for IT administration track. E-business system development and infrastructure management is both for business and IT management tracks. Open source business strategies is essentially for business track. We hope this one to be a very interesting course, and do expect some students from other programs, because to my knowledge there is no other course in Turkey that is discussing open source as a business strategy. The 505 and 507 are elective courses. The legal aspects is probably more interesting for business people. The social aspects and public policy development is, we will encourage all the students to take this course. And through semester 3 and 4, the master's project starts, and the last semester is only with the project work. Now to cover the Erasmus Mundus.
Yeah. But this is still a plan, but maybe some of you know this Erasmus Mundus project. I mean, in Erasmus Mundus, do you have a consortium of master's program in Europe or in non-European countries? So there should be at least 3 partners, and students and faculty are expected to visit other institutes. So for a person, one student starts in one university, he takes or she takes some courses in one university and goes to another university, maybe focusing on some other aspects of the program. We believe that initiating and being in such a program might contribute in several ways. In that way, we can develop a really kind of master's program collaborating with other existing open source master's degrees, and also we can give some modules for persons for IT management master's degrees or other open source, not on open source system, but persons for software engineering master's degree who won't have kind of open source emphasis. So this will, being in such a consortium, it is possible to develop more rigorous full master's degree in open source. Also, this program itself can add some emphasis to open source within other software engineering master's degree. So that is still a plan, but we will try to attempt to get within this or initiate such consortiums in fact. That was all. Thank you for listening to us.
So long.
Sorry.
Thank you very much. Благодаря. Имате ли въпроси? Ние правят така, че да бъдем на българските места. Ако нямате въпроси, ще приключим само на английски. I would like to ask a question. You said that these programs, these courses are planned to start from next year. Yeah. I'm wondering, you had very much topics that you plan to cover. How do you find the lecturers? I mean, from the community or from the universities, or how do you organize the lecturers and speakers who will be? Are they professionals? Are they not?
In fact, it's already organized, and all lectures are known in advance, but maybe would you like to add something?
What we try to do is we try to be practical and use the existing faculty and expertise in the university. There's a lot of faculty and business program and information systems, business information systems program. So most of these courses, some of them are used as is in the program, and some of them we offer to the teachers in, for example, business informatics faculty. We constructed the course and asked them if they can give it, and they said yes, okay, we already have the expertise, we can do it. Some other courses we are planning to do it ourselves at the computer science department. So they are pretty much covered, but half of them are already existing courses, half of them will be newly generated courses, and of course we will see how they go.
And regarding the content, maybe we should say that we don't try to give kind of a textbook, because it's really difficult to find textbooks which is appropriate for all those topics. But there are already lots of papers and research going over. So particularly those courses we are going to give from scratch will be based on some kind of seminar, some kind of critical discussions. But exactly these courses will be researches. So probably one topic of, first you will see that one topic of 1 week will be going over the literature and trying to relate existing direct studies on these issues, also trying to figure out what can be related in other disciplines, related disciplines with this. So it's not it is so great. I think it will be very exciting for students, and also, I mean, in the role of the instructor and in such courses, it's not to teach everything, because there's nothing such there existing about giving all the information, but rather to advising and to directing to go and investigate and research and discuss and write publishing papers or generate the papers on these issues.
So you mentioned a couple of online curriculums. So I never actually, I don't have any information, I don't have any information or experience how it works, because I have some doubts, because people are not there, and so do you have any information?
It's not the reference for the translation.
So you mentioned online curriculums that you can actually attend some. Not that you are doing that.
No, one of the examples was the Open University in Spain.
Yeah.
I think they are focusing in having the whole curriculum online, if possible. We don't really are concerned much about giving the education itself online.
The one in Catalonia, it's a distant learning university, and they offer these courses online. But our approach is not to give those courses online.
My question was, do you have information how that works? Not, I realize that you won't do that.
Well, okay. We were discussing with the head of this program. They said that the way open source projects work is pretty much the same as we are teaching in our online modules. They said they provide some contents, and they have some forums for discussions, for instance, and they have some predefined projects and papers to be given by the students. It has started in 2003, I guess, and they have more than 80 students for each year, and it seems that they're really running successfully this online programs, and they have know-how and expertise on online education. Maybe in future we can do this, but first of all we should settle down the program we have offered them. So later it might be another opportunity, I guess.
Did you consult businesses when designing the curriculum? Did you assess their needs? And also, do you think that this program will create more jobs and increase opportunities for employment for the students who will be involved?
Okay. In fact, we target two different groups. One, I mean, we target two different groups, and we want to have two different outputs. I mean, two different heads going over this master program. So either, for instance, some people, when you go to open source and small companies and or the ones they are giving expertise or advisory or some kind of inputs to governments. Most of those people, based on they have in practice, they are professionals from software engineering or other parts, but they lack some other components of the whole thing we are asking about. So, for instance, based on, in fact, this is the argument based on the obstacles and the key, the weak points of free software adoption. Going over these weak points and the needs, in fact, from the business part side, we thought what we are offering will be suitable to cover those aspects, to have an integrated approach and background, like having an overview of the whole process. But this is not only, but it should be, I mean, one of our focuses is that it should be kind of software independent and methodology independent background. So if the data acquired should not be applicable only to open source software, but it should be applicable to other businesses. So we focus on open source software. That's why we say that this information systems and open source systems, information system program, have an open source focus. You want to add something?
We have been giving Linux administration courses to business professionals for 4 years. We have been doing projects with big businesses actually for the last 3 years, and we also have several events throughout the year where we meet with people from universities and businesses. So, to my experience, their demand is in finding people who will lead projects that use open source software and open source methodology. They are already aware of the advantages that they bring. So I hope this pretty much reflects their demands.
And the second, but do you think your program will create more jobs for students? Will increase their opportunities for employment? Because a program is attractive if a student can find employment after that.
Well, by looking at our undergraduate program in computer science, it seems like the way it's going to happen because they are in quite high demand. Many of my graduates come and tell me that their bosses are so happy because finally they have that guy who will install the Linux server and so that they can see the results for themselves. So,
there are lots of uncertainties on adopting free software process if we focus on this type of job creations. And what we offer will give kind of really an overview. They will be able to consider the legal issues, the business as a business model issues, and also software engineering development process. So that will be, I guess it will be very. We anticipate that it will be very complete in terms of kind of. Well, maybe in that terms, it's like a kind of MBA program, more specified MBA program within this field. Which is there's no such study, so we hope that it will be contribute, but also it will contribute back to the community. This is one of our focus areas. And by the way, we don't only focus on the professionals, but we want this program to be a kind of intermediary step to further research in open source phenomena. So that's why we asked we have two different outputs based on and their choice, students' choice.
How much have you been able to tap into existing open courseware projects, and how much are there you have been looking into it? Probably Sloan School has some, if not many.
Open courseware.
Yeah, within the open courseware project, but there are also other universities that do that, and then that might try to offer at least courses, if not the entire program is in free software or open source software.
When you see this open courseware program, you can see that these courses is not only open source. The content of the programs are open source. You can see they have this open courseware programs for different disciplines. One of our targets is also to provide the courseware of these programs as how MIT programs.
Yeah, I was more interested how much can you benefit from existing open courseware projects. Did you try looking into it? Just from a general standpoint, it's interesting.
Yeah,
like,
the ones I have.
How does this functioning when the openness is transposed in another type of exchange or economy, which is academia. So how did you try to work with that and see how this can be tapped into?
Not much. I mean, we are quite early in the implementation stage, but that's exactly what we want to look into, because it's what we want to present to students is an area that can tap into themselves. So we want to lead them to this type of resources. But as I said, we are quite early at the implementation stage.
Interesting. But by the way, when you consider all those aspects what we are discussing here, it definitely should comply with what would have been what's going over there in that term. So all the people who are going to lead these courses, I guess they will develop these separately, which is combined with the experiences and all of that.
And you said that you have already some courses about open source software. Do you have some statistics about the interest to these courses? I mean, how many students have finished such courses? How many students? How are they applying for these courses?
We have a few business courses which are being taught in research methods, which are being taught in other programs, but I'm not sure about the business.
But you are asking open source.
Yeah.
In fact, we don't have. We have some existing courses in other disciplines that we will use as is in our program. But there is not, as we have mentioned, there is only 3 programs that run open source courses, or they have open source fullbacks programs. It's not directly available how much the statistics, but the ones we were very motivated, it seems they are very successful, and they have really very exciting process of the courses in the whole. But it's not possible to, for most of them, it's not possible to get the information, how many students are interested and what happened. And for instance, there was a program they don't run anymore for this year. I'm really curious about the reason they don't run, for instance.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But we're very glad that many programs are appearing in this strong
Yeah. But it might be a good indication when you go see the number of masters and PhDs in this area. The number of master theses, PhD theses, and the number of research papers is really getting increased. And And what we are facing on making not only the professional part, but also the research part of this issue. So that was the kind of indications that we, from an external situation. But we will focus on the targeting on either software or computer science students who want to get on to more business part, more MBA part of the of the business also, or some students who have economic backgrounds, who have business background, but they want to, for instance, they want to administer, or they want to consult to software companies or lead those software companies. They can acquire what we try to offer to them. So that will. Well, there already we have. When we mentioned you can see that they are interested. But we'll see.
It's like a wild west for
yeah, we will see.
Yes.
The way things go.
It would be interesting. And do you think that for the businesses will be more important to have people with formal qualifications in open source? I mean, do you think that if we are talking about open source, it's important to have more practical experience or more formal qualification that could be done with a master degree, for example, from open source? Do you think that it's, how is it in Turkey? I mean,
I expect, for example, this type of certification to be valuable in project leader or product leader positions, especially, more so than the actual developer positions.
So they not the one there writing the codes, but the one leading and trying to find jobs or trying to find projects or trying to advise some public body stakeholders or others. So that is the target group. I mean.
You told us that there are problems supporting the open source infrastructure in the university. So did you consider using the students to support this system in the university? All systems that in open source, using open source software.
We do already use some students, exactly as you say, to support the systems, but we always need full-time staff to do it professionally. I mean, because with students there's so much circulation of people and expertise who support the system, so you always need at least some core staff to do the actual task for you. And we use students as the supporting staff. We do have a working student program in the university, but these students support the actual core team. We realize that it's not really practical to put them into the core of the business, unfortunately.
I have seen in Germany that students they are used to support every system which is based on open source software, and they combine this with one or two of their teachers in the courses. So the core team in fact is one or a few teachers which are combined with these students. Is this practical?
Well, there's always different situations in different organizations. For example, in my university, the teachers are quite overloaded, so I'm not sure how they would take it if I give them responsibility of a few computer labs. But with students, my students are more effective than the IT department that I have to train in addition, to give an additional training to support the Linux lab. So I do have tendency to use my students for supporting, but it has been limited so far.
Okay, are there more questions? Само включи микрофона. В такъв случай ще продължим с презентация, представена на курса, който беше проведе миналата година в